Is to actually know he's not mad, it just hurts a little bit more. The other dude don't want nothing to do with him, but like I said, I can't let another child.
The major reason there's paternity court or DNA testing is because there are assumptions that the mother of the child has cheated, or she definitely did, but these women often defend themselves, that maybe the man cheated first or something, just wasn't right in the relationship. Let's find out what it was in this case. Mr. Thompson could be seen tearing up, but who knows the reason he's doing that? Did his partner say it's over for good, or the child isn't his? Or Mr. Thompson is even relieved that the baby is his? Let's dig deeper to know what exactly led to that scene.
Mr. Thompson, you are in court today in hopes of saving your 11-year marriage. Your wife has a newborn, 4-month-old Micah Pate Thompson, who you hope is your baby, but say your doubts are overwhelming. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson is hoping the baby is his son, as that will lead to him repairing his marriage. Ms. Thompson also prays the baby belongs to Mr. Thompson for the same reason. This seems healthy, so what must have led to them initially doubting the paternity of the child?
The current status of our relationship is rocky. You know, we don't sleep in the same bedroom. We haven't slept in the same bedroom in years. We haven't had sex probably in about 7-8 months. You know, and it's just, you know, she don't like to cook, she don't like to clean, she don't like to work. So it's a lot going on other than.
Mr. Thompson is talking about Miss Thompson not cooking and cleaning, but didn't he know that before they got married? Okay, let's say he didn't pay much attention to that. He didn't notice she didn't like to work too? Whew. Mr. Thompson seems to be cool, seeing how he said he wouldn't leave the baby fatherless, even if he's not the father. That's commendable.
Well, take me back. I want to understand how this relationship began. Certainly, at some point, you all were happy together.
Yes, we met in college. We had a class together, and he sat behind me, cracking jokes, trying to copy off my test.
Now that sounds like something from a fairy tale movie, but for these two to be here, something must have gone wrong. Mr. Thompson and Ms. Thompson seem so excited to talk about their meeting and their love story, but life's not all about candies and roses.
What went wrong was when me and LaToya first started getting into marriage and stuff like that, I had found out she was doing some things that she shouldn't have been doing. Text messaging, meeting up with guys and stuff like that. So when I confronted her, she said it wasn't true. So when she said it wasn't true, I found out otherwise.
Making your husband get a DNA test every time? That definitely means Ms. Thompson was cheating, and she just wanted to be sure the children aren't for any of her cheating partners. And Ms. Thompson's best excuse for that was, we weren't really ready to get married, okay, ma'am?
She don't reciprocate it. She don't say nothing to me. So in my eyes, I'm not the perfect dude, but let me know what I'm doing wrong.
So where did this go wrong to the point that we are here in paternity court?
It went wrong when he decided to leave, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Ms. Thompson made Mr. Thompson seem like he didn't have faults in the marriage, even though he keeps complaining about her own backlogs. Anyone would easily understand Mr. Thompson's reason for leaving. The man was obviously tired of being the only one communicating.
When I left, she said she was gonna work on herself. Me and her had ample
While he was
conversations
with somebody else.
about her working on herself. She was working on herself because she deleted me off social media. I found out she started adding all these other dudes to her social media page.
Because you were gone. You were living with somebody else.
This story is getting a little bit confusing at this point. Mr. Thompson thought Ms. Thompson would still be waiting for him after he had moved in with another woman, because she said she'd work on herself, but Ms. Thompson claimed she wasn't planning to do no such thing, hence the divorce in question.
While he was doing all that research, trying to figure out who I was talking to, he failed to tell anybody that he was engaged to this girl.
What?
While he was still married. And
What?
And it's on her Facebook, so he can't even lie about it.
You asked another girl to marry you while you're still married to your wife?
I did.
Ow! Got engaged to another person while still married to your wife? That's wild. Even though two wrongs don't make a right, Mr. Thompson really made Ms. Thompson go out of line. Both of them can just be hopeful the result comes back positive, so they can work on their marriage because they still look like they are in love.
Mr. Thompson, you are not the father.
Having sons is like a really big blessing to some folks, but here in Mr. Hernandez's case, he does not feel that way due to the son's mother. Will Mr. Hernandez finally see the boys as blessings or otherwise? Let's see how it unfolds.
Ms. Martinez, you say your family is torn apart since the defendant has denied both of your children, 4-year-old Richard II and 3-year-old Renee. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove the truth and hope that the results will save your relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Martinez claims she's here to prove Mr. Hernandez fathered her sons, so me Hernandez will be able to step up to the plate and take responsibility. However, Mr. Hernandez says he can't believe a word coming out of Ms. Martinez's mouth, and he's putting his foot down concerning being responsible for the boys until the DNA test proves he's their biological father.
So, Ms. Hernandez, what has he done for the children?
Absolutely nothing until about 3 weeks ago. He did get them at least $200 worth of clothing, but other than that, that's all he's done their whole life.
That's a lie, Your Honor. I've tried to do as much as I possibly can since the beginning, since day one.
No, he hasn't, Your Honor.
Well, that's a good question from Ms. Martinez. Why is Mr. Hernandez sticking around if he really believes he isn't the boy's father? Sticking around may be confusing to the kids since he isn't there for them when they need him the most.
We first met, she was trying to get all over me or whatever from the beginning, but I ignored her.
Were you interested in having a relationship at that point?
Relations, but not a relationship.
Okay. And what were your intentions, Mr. Hernandez?
It started getting serious. I mean, well, I felt like it was, and I don't know, I wanted to be with her. All of a sudden, I find out she's doing other things with my friends and stuff.
Did Ma Martinez just say it was a one-time thing? Well, cheating is cheating, Ms. Martinez. Whether it was a one-time thing or it happened multiple times. Anyway, Ms. Martinez defended herself saying she didn't want a relationship because she didn't want to be tied to one person, and Mr. Hernandez forced her into it. Seems Mr. Hernandez got what he deserved.
Hey, let me tell you about that, Your Honor. We were still on and off, right? I called her and she's like, I'm with this person, which is my friend. And I was like, okay. Next day I talked to her. She's like, okay, yeah, I did have intercourse with this man. I forgave her. And a few weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant.
A slut? Mr. Hernandez has to control his tongue. Mr. Hernandez seemed to have caused this for himself because Ms. Martinez already told him she wanted nothing serious. Ms. Martinez lied about having protected sex when she didn't, and that's where the problem came from.
That incident, and then she's pregnant.
The only reason why I know without a doubt that he's the father is because I did have intercourse with him unprotected, and it was on the day that they said that the conception was.
Okay, we went to the doctor's office and they gave us that conception wheel.
Stayed up all night obsessing over.
Looking at the wheel all night.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez has the right to doubt the paternity of the twins. Ms. Martinez may be right about the date of conception, matching the date of sexual intercourse with Mr. Hernandez, but maybe there's a tiny chance of the other person being a potential father to the boys too.
One day, Your Honor, she just told me, she said, Richard's not yours. And I said, what? And then she was like, yeah, he's not yours.
And it was a heat of the moment because at the time I was actually going into emergency surgery to have my gallbladder removed. It took him 2 hours to get back to the hospital. Well, come to find out, he was with his friends, picked up two girls at a bus stop.
Oh, wow! Ms. Martinez had to get all of that out. Ms. Martinez has the right to be pissed at Mr. Hernandez for real, but saying one of the boys isn't his child? That was way too far. No man wants to hear that from the supposed mother of his children.
And he's saying all this stuff. My kids are suffering. My kids, he takes them a bath and he sits there and critiques every little thing about them. My kids don't deserve that.
Critiques how?
The way that they drink a bottle is the way that his homeboys or his friends drink a bottle.
Well, I know.
Or the way their eyebrows, when they're wet, looks like his friends' eyebrows.
Mr. Hernandez doesn't seem to know kids change as they grow up, Judge Lauren. Mr. Hernandez thinks they stay the same way forever, which is quite ignorant of him. Mr. Hernandez is almost certain the kids don't belong to him, but he wouldn't leave. He must really love Ms. Martinez.
We were at the hospital. The man that she named after him, just all of a sudden, as soon as he's born, called me and says, hey, I'm outside. And I was like, whoa, how did this man even call me right now? I haven't spoke to him in months. Why would he even call me? And why would he even be outside?
Again and again, Mr. Hernandez has the right to have doubts concerning the paternity of the boys, but a DNA test since birth could have sorted out the problem. Anyway, that's the reason they are here now. Let's get to the bottom of this case now.
As it pertains to 3-year-old Renee Hernandez, Mr. Hernandez, you are his father. When it comes to 4-year-old Richard Hernandez II, Mr. Hernandez, you are his father.
A man praying and wishing the baby isn't his in paternity court is not a new thing, but making it so obvious is on another whole new level. But Mr. Clark does not care, and he's showing that in Judge Lauren's paternity court.
Clark, you are suing the defendant for a DNA test and for $1,560 for damages you claim she caused to your property because you denied paternity of her 2-month-old daughter, Vanique.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today you will prove you are not Vanique's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Clark isn't taking chances. He's in court to prove he's not Ms. Bailey's baby daddy, and he's even suing Ms. Bailey for damaging his property. It gets more interesting as Ms. Bailey is countersuing Mr. Clark, and she's here to prove Mr. Clark is indeed her baby daddy.
She burnt all of my clothes up. She came over there one day mad about me and her, my baby, and I told her the baby ain't mine. Acting a fool, Your Honor. Trying to get in the house, argue with my lady.
So wait a minute, she comes over your house with clothes
Yes.
of yours.
Yes.
Then burns them
Then burns me
at your house?
at my house.
Ms. Bailey agreed to setting Mr. Clark's clothes and shoes on fire like it's nothing. Well, maybe it's nothing to Ms. Bailey, judging from what made her so mad that prompted her to act that way. Ms. Bailey claims she did that because Mr. Clark was getting pleasure from another woman while she was carrying their baby.
Your relationship, was he denying he was the father?
He didn't start denying her until she was born, and they both came to the hospital, and his.
So wait a minute, why were you so
denied
mad
from the
then if
jump.
he wasn't denying her when you were 7 months pregnant?
Because I was 7 months pregnant, and I was just so mad that he left me. Like, you literally left me at 7 months pregnant.
Wait a minute, Ms. Bailey cheated and she was pissed. Mr. Clark cheated too? Now that doesn't make sense. Maybe Mr. Clark leaving while Ms. Bailey was 7 months pregnant would have made her emotional but common. The man just probably wanted to get his lick back.
Because he said he didn't want a girl that parties a lot. And so he left, and I cheated. Yes, I did. But I don't think that's cheating. You left, so I had sex with someone.
One day after my cousin's wedding. Come on now. Get
Yeah.
real.
So you all were together. You all got into an argument. You said you really didn't want to be with a girl that parties a lot.
Yeah.
So you said it's over?
Yeah, I told her it's over.
Already meeting up with another person and having sexual relations with them the same day after breaking up is diabolical. Ms. Bailey wasn't ready to waste even a minute. Mr. Clark wanted to come back, but news flash. It's too late, Mr. Clark.
From there, he got admitted to the hospital, and he started his chemo sessions and everything. But before then...
And you all
they-
were together when this happened?
Yes, they said, are you guys interested in having children? And we both like, yeah, you know, and they was like, well, there's an 80% chance that he can't have children during his chemo.
So you know
And-
I can't have kids.
Mrs. Bailey turned out to be pregnant after knowing Mr. Clark's cancer diagnosis says there's an 80% chance that he can't father a child. And it seems Ms. Bailey was sketching a shady plan while trying to capitalize on the 20% chance left. Ms. Bailey didn't even tell Mr. Clark about it? That's shady.
You know she was with someone else?
Yes,
She
but
told me.
he wore
She
protection.
told me.
So there's no,
So-
I'm 100% sure
She
that
said,
he's the father.
she said they were protected, but right now, she said, but the condom did slipped off. So come
Really?
on now.
Did you admit that the condom came
Come
off,
on
Miss
now.
Bailey?
No.
There was protection, it slipped off, it didn't slip off. Which one exactly are we supposed to believe out of all of these options Ms. Bailey uttered? Safe to say Ms. Bailey is just looking for a way to get away from the other man being named as a potential father.
There are doctors that there was an 80%
80%
chance that this would negatively affect his ability to have children.
It depends on the type of chemo, the dose, the age of the patient. However, if you ask for general statistics, it is about 77%.
The doctor supports Ms. Bailey's claim concerning the 20% that could really lead to Mr. Clark being able to have children. It's not certain Mr. Clark is Ms. Bailey's baby's biological father, but it's possible.
Miss Hudson,
Yes.
you are Mr. Clark's current girlfriend?
Yes.
What happened at the hospital? You were there.
She told the nurse to give me the baby out of all
I
people.
did. Do she look like him or do she not?
And he
This
asked,
is getting even more interesting.
he asked me right there in front of me, he was like, do you think this is my baby?
Pushing a baby out and already debating her features within seconds is as wild as it sounds. Who does that? Or simply put, Ms. Bailey, Mr. Clark, and Mr. Clark's girlfriend? Time to put an end to this mess. Let's get to the result.
Mr. Clark, you are not the father.
I wanted him to be the father.
Paternity court and fathers claiming babies are being pinned on them is intertwined. Most of the time, these men never believe their one-night stand or continuous sexual encounters with the same woman or different women could lead to pregnancy. Talking about pinning babies on them like it's some sort of magnet.
Miss Connolly, 2 years ago, the court helped you prove to your father, Mr. Harrison, that you were his biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say your relationship has improved, and he is actually here supporting you in today's case.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's wonderful. Now, you're back to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Haskell, that he fathered your 9-month-old daughter, Blair. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Connolly does not want the same cycle to repeat itself as she has been through the same thing that's about to happen in court at an older age. However, Mr. Haskell says he knows for sure that not his baby and Ms. Connolly is just trying to pin the baby on him because he's famous. Okay, Mr. Haskell.
Do you really believe Miss Connolly's after your fame?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
I was going to my favorite pizza joints. I don't have to really do too much talking when I come in. I just give a head nod and, everybody knows me, so they normally just go ahead and make my order. So this particular day, I see Miss Connolly, and she's new. I don't even know her.
One of the most famous singers in DC. You say Mr. Haskell? Wow, that's self-flattery, but yeah. Mr. Haskell said he had to give Miss Connolly one of his tunes to set things straight, and things went smoothly from there.
Hey, who are you? What are you talking about? He's talking some, you don't know me. I'm famous. I sing. I said, well, sing. He held the note. So I said, oh, okay, I can sing too. So I sung a song that I had wrote, and he was like, oh, okay, you can sing too. So we
all this before the order was placed.
Before the order was placed.
One of the most famous singers in DC having to ask his mother for permission before a lady can come over? Mr. Haskell seems like a mama's boy. Ms. Connolly has a different story on how things went, though.
How did you get keys to the house and you were laying in his bed when he came home?
Your Honor, we were in a committed relationship for 2 months. Under my assumption.
She bought my mother. She had to buy my mother. She must have bought her pizza every night.
You brought me
when
to
she
your
was
house.
hungry, she bought her pizza at home every night.
Mr. Haskell is a master manipulator according to Ms. Connolly, but magically, Ms. Connolly was the one buttering Mr. Haskell's mother up with pizzas every other night. That's a nice way to have an easy entry into the house, even without Mr. Haskell's help.
Let's get back to the issues that relate to the paternity.
I left for.
You missed him and then you came back.
I came back.
Once you came back, did you resume a sexual relationship?
As soon as I got back.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Haskell's self-flattery deserves an A+. Mr. Haskell keeps going on and on about Ms. Connolly wanting to trap him with a baby, but Ms. Connolly says that's not it because Mr. Haskell doesn't even have any money. That seems valid because he's still putting up at his mother's house.
Mr. Barnett, how do you know Ms. Connolly, Mr. Haskell?
I was actually there when they first met.
You were?
Yeah, this is my cousin.
That's your cousin?
Yeah.
So you were there when they first met?
Yeah.
Please tell the court what you know.
Okay, what I know about Miss Connolly is basically she tried to talk to me on multiple occasions.
That's a
Your
lie.
Honor.
Okay, Mr. Haskell's cousin is here supporting Miss Haskell and making the case worse for Miss Connolly. Mr. Haskell's cousin says Miss Connolly even tried moving to him, and she even allegedly slept with another one of their friends. Ms. Connolly strongly denies ever doing something like that.
The time that Blair was, were you all in a place where he participated in the birth with you? Did he attend doctor's appointments?
He only attended one appointment, and that's because I asked him, I begged him to come.
So when the baby's born, does he show up to the hospital?
Yeah.
Mr. Haskell was present during the birth of the child, not because he was willing to be, but because he wanted to do a blood test to know if that was his child. That's fair. At least he was there to hold Miss Connolly's hands through the difficult process of labor.
I have to ask you, do you believe Mr. Haskell is your grandchild's biological father?
No, I don't really know Mr. Haskell. I never, I didn't know him at that time when she said she was pregnant. I never met him.
Why is it you don't feel he's the biological father?
Because
do you have knowledge that she was also intimate with other people?
Well, she had a roommate in Texas.
Ms. Connolly thought her mother would have her back, but unfortunately, the opposite of that happened. So it's obvious there was another man, and Ms. Connolly has been trying to hide that fact. Maybe it's time to get to the result before Mr. Haskell would drop a diss track in paternity court.
Mr. Haskell, you are her father.
What'd I tell you?
While some marriages end due to both parties not being able to tolerate each other anymore, most marriages end because one party cheats on the other, fostering trust issues and a few other problems. In this case, Mr. Threlkeld never saw any of these coming until after it has already happened.
Mr. Threlkeld, you have entered this courtroom with a marriage on the brink of divorce. You state that while you were out of the country serving in the military, your wife paraded around town with other men, and she has admitted to cheating multiple times.
Mr. Threlkeld was out serving his country, but it seems the country he was serving in turn ruined his family, as Ms. Threlkeld claimed she had to step out of their marriage due to her husband's military salary, not enough to foot the bills in their home.
When did you first discover that your wife had been unfaithful?
Actually, ma'am, I was overseas in Afghanistan, and I was at up in the Northeast, and a soldier of mine came up to me and tapped me on the boot and said, hey, you need to go outside, we need to talk right now. So earlier on in the day, me and him got into some words, so I thought we were going to, settle it.
That's a different kind of heartbreak. Mr. Threlkeld got to know about Ms. Threlkeld's new profession through a friend. Probably Ms. Threlkeld thought she could keep the home in check to avoid getting her husband worked up from a different continent.
I was able to get back online, and I get on Facebook, and there's some clown on there saying, liking all her skimpy photos.
Skimpy photos.
Was following her. He liked that she was started working at the club. So then I started doing a little bit of research, wondering, who this guy is. So I went to the phones, and I called her and I said, hey.
Did Miss Threlkeld mean she was done with Mr. Threlkeld? Or the other guy liking her skimpy photos? That's confusing, but it's certain Miss Threlkeld didn't appreciate her supposed husband stalking her. But just like Mr. Threlkeld said, a man's gotta find out, so he did what he could do.
She didn't even have the courage or the decency to tell me, no, your friend's husband told me that she was doing what she's doing because she didn't have the decency to say, hey, I'm doing what I want to do.
Ms. Threlkeld, what? Your husband's overseas, serving his country, serving our country, keeping us all safe.
Oh, okay. Mama Threlkeld clears the air as she explains Mr. Threlkeld mentioned on a call that he was going to send her divorce papers. This was due to the stripping occupation Ms. Threlkeld seemed to love so much, but she claimed she had her reasons.
Argument about you stripping and you hung up.
Yes, Your Honor. We hung up and we said it was done because I wanted to do what I want to do.
Ma'am.
Let me explain.
Okay, now we're getting to the truth.
Okay.
You wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And why is it that you wanted to strip?
Because we got married too young.
Mr. Threlkeld used the right word, but it seems Ms. Threlkeld has a different meaning and word for the profession she prefers to practice. Marrying too young or late doesn't make sense as an excuse to be a stripper, but okay, Ms. Threlkeld.
Name's up, everybody's clapping and cheering. They come up to my name and it's just dead quiet. No one was there. So as everybody's getting ready to go home, I'm sitting there with my bags and I didn't even have a phone yet, so I couldn't even call her. So I'm sitting there under a street light with my army bag on one side and a suitcase on the other.
No one was there to clap or cheer for Mr. Threlkeld. That must have been so sad for him. Ms. Threlkeld probably couldn't come to where others were due to her fascinating choice of outfit to the location.
The guy, she hadn't fully admitted that she's been seeing this guy, so I snatched the phone from her and I started going through it. And as I was looking through it, there was a number that she'd called like 13 times. So I called him right back. And he answers the phone, hey, you know, I said, who is this? Are you the one that's been my wife? He said, yes, I've been. And now her defense, she starts laughing saying, ha, I knew he was just gonna say that. He's just saying that to make you mad.
Mr. Threlkeld's narration keeps going from sad to a pathetic one. Coming back from a long military mission and having to go through all of that without having a good sleep just yet must be draining. Mrs. Threlkeld thinks a marriage can be over only by saying it's over. Whew, someone needs to register for GED.
That if I get my wife pregnant, she'll stop stripping.
Roger,
because that's going to definitely
what she
be
tells me,
a
kind of like she just said, kind of like how she just said, I'm going to strip and I'm going to do whatever I want because that's what I'm going to do. I said, oh, really? Okay, I'll give you a 9-month break on me. I mean, so...
That wasn't a smart move from Mr. Threlkeld. That is exactly what is causing a paternity issue in Judge Lauren's court. Ms. Threlkeld was hell-bent on stripping to allegedly support her family, so nothing could stop her. To put an end to this conflict, let's get the result.
Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father.
A man desperately wanting to be the biological father of a child on paternity court happens on very rare occasions, as men prefer to not be associated with the child most of the time. Will Mr. Deggs be fortunate to be the biological father in this case, or otherwise? Let's find out.
Mr. Deggs, you are here today hoping you are the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old son, Jason. You have petitioned the court for paternity test because you claim your ex, Ms. Guerin, first led you to believe that you were Jason's dad, but when the baby was 6 months old, she confessed that you may not be the biological father.
Mr. Deggs would wish on a star right now to be the biological father of the child, and that's why he's in paternity court. However, Ms. Guerin is not sure of the paternity of her son, as she agreed to having sexual contact with another man during the window of conception, but that was only because Mr. Deggs had stepped out too.
When did you first find out Ms. Guerin cheated on you?
We were together about a year. At the time, we were moving out of my best friend's apartment, and it was just about that I got the truck loaded up with everything, and I went upstairs to grab my last box, and my best friend at the time pulled me aside and told me him and my brother had both slept with me.
Best friend and brother? That's insane. Mrs. Guerin is in the stand talking about her not doing it out of spite or anything. Ma'am, whether that was out of spite or not, that was completely out of line. Maybe his best friend wouldn't be a problem even though it's also wrong, but brother? Having sexual relations with 2 brothers is wild.
I was lacking affection from him. He was never home. He was always...
I work, Your Honor. I work full time to make sure that her nails and her hair get done.
After he would off work, he never came home, and he left me in the apartment all the time with a roommate that he knew was attracted to me and wanted to be with me.
Mr. Deggs was at work while his girlfriend was getting down with his best friend. Ms. Guerin complains about not getting enough attention and decided to get naked because the best friend made her feel pretty. Maybe if Ms. Guerin had got a job too, she'd be busy and not be looking for that kind of attention.
How did you end up with his brother too?
His brother, I was really young at the time, and
you keep talking about how young you were. If you were so young, you shouldn't be sleeping with everybody. How did you end up sleeping with his brother?
It was an attraction. He was paying me the attention that Jason was not.
Attention? Again? Guess the attention Ms. Guerin was getting from the best friend was not enough, and she had to move to Mr. Degg's brother too. Mrs. Guerin keeps making excuses about being young and not getting enough attention, while she was also supposed to be working shifts or something.
Pregnant, we had a lot of problems at that time. We had already cheated on each other. And then I met somebody else that was taking care of me, and I ended up sleeping with him while I was with Jason.
When you give birth to the child, he was there.
Yes, he was there.
Okay, Ms. Guerin really has some nerve. Ms. Guerin does not give a damn about whether Mr. Deggs was hurt or not because he cheated after she had cheated. Ms. Guerin does not even seem to care if Mr. Deggs fathered the child or not. That's cold.
Mr. Deggs, now take me to that day where, unfortunately, you got that bomb dropped on you.
I think we were in an argument, and out of nowhere she throws at me. You're probably not even Jason, the daddy of Jason anyway.
No,
I crumbled right there, started crying.
I would never do that.
It's obvious that the child is so important to Mr. Deggs' couple with the fact that he didn't have a father while growing up and he does not want history to repeat itself. On the other hand, Ms. Guerin won't stop looking for men to take care of her better than the previous one.
Why I didn't tell him right away, Your Honor, is because I was truly at a horrible place in knowing what I did. But the reaction that I got from him, he was happy and we wanted a family. We were together. I did stray away from the relationship and I felt, can you please let me talk for a second? I let you say what you wanted to say.
Let her talk.
Ms. Guerin says she isn't as cold or callous as it looks because she also wanted a family with Mr. Deggs, but unfortunately, she already strayed from their relationship. Maybe Mr. Deggs straying didn't birth anything outside, but being the woman, Ms. Guerin straying gave birth to a baby with paternity issues.
Your Honor, I've known Jason since we were 13 years old. He's been one of my best friends. And then, yes, we started dating. The minute we started dating, all the problems came. Megan would blow up his phone. She texted him and was like, you better keep your job, honey, because all I want is your money.
I never, ever said that.
Like,
Everyone can guess who the parent might be, even without the witness saying it. Mrs. Guerin just wants to play dress up and be taken care of, while Mr. Deggs wants to be an actual parent and a father that he didn't have. It's time to know if Mr. Deggs' wishes would come through.
Mr. Deggs, you are not the father.
This isn't your typical courtroom drama. No, today, we're diving into the case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson, where a $10,000 debt and the paternity of 2 teenage girls are up for debate. It's an emotional roller coaster, and both parties are clearly on edge.
Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $10,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Kaisha Redmond, who you say are not yours. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, you say you are 100% certain that both girls are his daughters, and you cannot wait to prove the truth today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Redmond finds himself in court today with a huge claim. He owes over $10,000 in child support for 2 daughters, LaQuandria and Keisha, but he's convinced neither of them are actually his. Enter Ms. Patterson. She's certain that these girls are his daughters, and she's more than ready to prove it in front of the judge.
And he had his pants down.
That is a lie.
When I walked into the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up, and
that
she stood up.
That is a lie.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is a
This
lie.
is when you all were dating?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh.
Here's where things get complicated. Mr. Redmond has been raising the girls for 19 years. He's even served time over unpaid child support totaling over $16,000. But despite all that, he still questions whether they're really his. Ms. Patterson argues back, saying she's always been faithful and that the girls are undoubtedly his. Mr. Redmond, however, insists otherwise, citing several incidents where he caught her being unfaithful.
The front people told me where she was at, how to find her location. I went back there to find the location that they told me to go to.
Okay.
I observed Miss Patterson in the bed with another man.
Oh,
on top of the man.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, so this is you observing?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Redmond presents what he claims is proof of Miss Patterson's infidelity, a picture of her with another man in a bathroom. He's adamant that he's seen her cheating on multiple occasions, recalling one where he found a dark-skinned man leaving their house. But Miss Patterson strongly denies this, saying she doesn't know anyone matching that description. The plot thickens.
Why do you think he is just making all of this up?
Your Honor, I don't know. To tell you the truth, this is what I used to go through when we was married. So this is basically why the marriage had ended.
All right, so let's get to the second pregnancy, because you all managed to stay married long enough to get pregnant again.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, things get even murkier. Mr. Redmond reveals that he once set up a secret recording device in their home, convinced he would catch her in the act. According to him, he recorded sounds that suggested she was being unfaithful. Ms. Patterson doesn't buy it, claiming the recording was nothing but static. The accusations continue to pile up, and the tension is palpable.
Do you remember him expressing doubt over paternity during the process?
No, Your Honor.
I've kept the children out thus far because...
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. I kept the children out thus far because I did not want them to hear this testimony and even be more confused like I am, but I would like to hear from them now. Jerome, will you please escort LaQuandria and Kaisha into the courtroom?
Yes. Not backing down, Mr. Redmond recounts another incident where he saw Miss Patterson sitting on another man's lap at a family gathering. She denies it, accusing him of always jumping to conclusions. But for Mr. Redmond, all of this paints a troubling picture of LaQuandria's paternity. His heart is torn as he tries to grapple with the possibility that the daughter he raised might not be his.
He's always in and out of my life. He's never done anything for me.
And that hurts you?
I mean, it did, but then I had to realize again that he's nothing to me.
And so I want to hear from you, Kaisha. How has this affected you? I see the tear. Has it hurt you growing up without a father?
When we was homeless and we had nothing, we called him and he never gave us nothing. When we asked for money or anything, nothing.
As if the situation with LaQuandria wasn't enough, the focus shifts to Keisha, the second child. Mr. Redmond reveals that during her pregnancy, he and Miss Patterson were sleeping apart. He's convinced this only adds to his doubts about her faithfulness. Miss Patterson, on the other hand, argues that she was left to shoulder most of the parenting duties while he was absent. Each party accuses the other of neglect, with neither willing to back down.
1 or 2 times, you think that's gonna do something? It ain't gonna do nothing. You don't help my mom pay bills. You don't help us with anything. I have to come out my pocket and help pay rent. You don't do nothing. I have to get a second job just to help my mom in the house. You don't do anything. Is it because you ain't had no money to pay for no DNA test? Is that because?
As the case reaches a boiling point, the judge presses on, asking whether Miss Patterson ever considered that Mr. Redmond might have doubted the children's paternity during their marriage. It's clear that years of mistrust have built up, and the underlying issues of infidelity have only made matters worse. Now they're both desperate for answers. Today's case has the potential to change lives in an instant. Adams versus Williams is no ordinary paternity dispute. In fact, this case could mean Mr. Adams either faces jail time or walks free, depending on the outcome. Let's dive into this high-stakes legal battle.
Ms. Adams, you say you're here today regarding a matter of extreme urgency. Now, your son, Mr. Adams, is joining us via satellite from Flint, Michigan, because he's been prohibited by law enforcement from leaving your home state. And you claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support, and you're both with us today to prove he's not the father of the defendant's 3-year-old son in an effort to keep him out of jail.
Yes.
Ms. Adams is in court today with a dire request. She's here because her son, Mr. Adams, is facing the possibility of jail time for unpaid child support on a child he might not even fathered. Mr. Adams, who is joining the proceedings remotely from Flint, Michigan, has legal restrictions preventing him from leaving his state, but he's fighting hard to prove he is not the father of Ms. Williams' 3-year-old son.
I mean, no, when we was young at the time, we hooked up on and off, and it just...
So it was just an on and off thing?
Yeah, it was just an on and off thing.
So if it wasn't committed during that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes.
All right, so the doubts that Mr. Adams and his mother have, they are valid doubts.
Ms. Williams, however, insists that Mr. Adams is the biological father. She believes his legal troubles are self-inflicted and that he's avoided responsibility for the child. Mr. Adams, speaking from afar, confirms that his relationship with Ms. Williams was never serious. He recalls their first meeting at a party and even suggests her behavior made him question her character. The judge, wanting to hear all sides, lets Mr. Adams explain his stance on the paternity.
No, Your Honor. Only due to the fact that I was incarcerated, so I didn't receive any court subpoenas, anything, Your Honor. I was incarcerated.
So you didn't show up that day and you were deemed the father by default. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Tell me how you heard about all of this.
My daughter was kind of close to her. They worked together, and I overheard a conversation on the phone.
Mr. Adams makes it clear that the relationship with Ms. Williams was casual. Ms. Williams, on the other hand, admits she was not faithful during their time together and had unprotected sex with other men. She originally believed her ex-boyfriend was the father, but later discovered he wasn't. Still, she reached out to Mr. Adams only after needing to name a potential father for state assistance.
First off, when I was dancing, the only person that ever watched my kid when I was dancing was my mom, most of the
You're
time.
lying because you said your mother didn't like you and wouldn't watch the child.
I was staying with my mom at the time. My mom would watch my son while I go to work.
So now what are you doing for yourself?
Right now I work at Memorial Hermit in Houston, Texas.
So you have a job?
Yes, I have a job.
Mr. Adams reveals he never attended court hearings because he was incarcerated and didn't receive any notifications. Because of his absence, paternity was declared by default. Meanwhile, Ms. Adams overheard a conversation where Ms. Williams supposedly denied Mr. Adams being the father, a claim Mr. Adams disputes. This back and forth only adds to the confusion.
Mr. Adams, Ms. Williams is claiming that she asked you to take a DNA test.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. She did.
Why didn't you take it?
His excuse was he had a hangover. He couldn't get up. He was just basically being lazy.
No, my son was in jail. My son was in jail.
No, this was before he had got locked up. I asked him twice.
He was in jail.
Why didn't you take the test?
I had the papers sent to jail to have the DNA testing.
Ms. Williams denies ever outright denying Mr. Adams as the father, but she admits there were moments when she thought her ex-boyfriend might be the one. The judge emphasizes the confusion surrounding the paternity and acknowledges that both Ms. Williams' lifestyle choices and relationships have contributed to the mess they're in now.
Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant, so I gave them my name proud, like, no, I'm Lassiter Adams. No, I ain't think I had no warrant. Come to find out, he come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams, you got a warrant for child support. I'm like, what? And next thing you know, he put me in the back of the car in handcuffs.
And how much time did you serve for this?
Like 10 days.
Ms. Williams does seem to be working on improving her life and taking steps to provide for her child. The judge recognizes her efforts, but the questions about paternity remain unresolved. Mr. Adams, however, feels left out of the conversation for so long and now finds himself fighting for clarity on a situation he was barely involved in until it became necessary for child support.
These tears, this is about your child, am I correct?
This is about my kid. I don't care about how nobody feels. I just want to get this over with. I don't like when people try to make me feel bad about my mistakes or whatever, so what, I did it. But I still was trying to take care of business at the end of the day. It's about my son. It's about my son.
Adding even more complexity to the case, the judge points out that Ms. Williams named the child after her ex-boyfriend, which raises red flags about paternity. Mr. Adams claims he's heard rumors of other men being tested, but Ms. Williams clarifies that only her ex-boyfriend was tested. Now, the judge focuses on the core issue. Who is this child's biological father, and how does that affect everyone involved?
It has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
It's clear that emotions are running high and the stakes couldn't be higher. The focus now is on determining the truth and figuring out what happens next for Mr. Adams, Ms. Williams, and most importantly, the child who's caught in the middle of all this. This case is a roller coaster, folks, and it's got all the drama, the doubts, the accusations, and the paternity mystery that will have you on the edge of your seat. Mr. Boykin is denying that he's the father of Ms. Gully's son, Messiah, who is 3 years old. Ms. Gully, on the other hand, is absolutely certain that Mr. Boykin is the only man she slept with during the time she conceived, and she's not backing down from that claim.
Mr. Boykin, you claim that your relationship with the defendant was nothing more than a spring fling. You say after disappearing for 9 months, Ms. Gully resurfaced claiming you fathered her son, Messiah Gully. You are certain that this is not your child and plan to prove that in court today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Boykin wastes no time claiming that their fling was brief, calling it a summer breeze. They only hooked up a few times, and he says he never even knew Ms. Gully was pregnant, but Ms. Gully's confidence is unwavering. She insists that Mr. Boykin is definitely Messiah's father. The judge digs into their past, and Mr. Boykin admits their relationship was more physical than anything else, with no emotional commitment involved.
It wasn't a committed relationship, Mr. Boykin?
No, Your Honor.
How'd you meet?
I met her at the store.
Okay.
I met her at the store, talked to her a couple times. We ended up having sex a couple times. It was just a sex
We
thing.
exchanged numbers.
Oh, you just meet at the store, exchange numbers, then you just had sex?
That was it.
Yeah.
At this point, the tension is rising. Mr. Boykin keeps emphasizing that they had unprotected sex, but he insists that he was never told about the pregnancy. Ms. Gully counters, claiming she informed him when she was in the hospital. But Mr. Boykin remembers a different version of events, saying she only called him asking for money.
She stopped calling me. I was never there through the pregnancy or none of that.
So, wait a minute. You were saying through the whole pregnancy, you heard nothing?
Nothing.
No.
So you didn't even know she was pregnant?
He knew because I called him from the hospital.
She called me after the day she had the baby in the hospital.
As they argue over the timing, the judge points out that the dates could align with the conception window, leaving room for doubt. Ms. Gully sticks to her story, but Mr. Boykin is still in disbelief. He recalls visiting the hospital after Messiah was born, and at that moment, he was sure the baby couldn't be his.
Did you finally, after you talked to yourself and you went back and forth, did you finally go up there?
Your Honor, yeah, after I got myself together, I went up there. I hold the baby, I was looking at it, then I looked at her, looking at the baby, looked at her, and I said, no, this ain't my baby. That's how I felt.
Things get heated when Ms. Gully says Mr. Boykin was initially open to being a father, but completely denied it after her hospital stay. And when the topic of a DNA test arises, things get even messier. Mr. Boykin claims he wanted to take the test, but Ms. Gully says she returned it and used the money for baby supplies instead.
I mean, you have to understand, Miss Boykin. I mean, Miss Gully had just had the baby. How's she going half on a DNA test and all of that? And she's still trying to heal and deal with the baby. Why wouldn't you just say, I want this result, I'm gonna pay for this test as long as you agree to just test the baby?
I was trying to do that, Your Honor.
In the end, the judge makes it clear that the truth must come out. Both parents are determined to find closure on this, with the future of Messiah's paternity and the responsibilities of parenthood hanging in the balance.
Mr. Boykin, you are not the father.
Buckle up. The mystery behind Ms. Lepine's paternity is nothing short of shocking. For 30 years, she believed Mr. Lepine was her father until a casual family dinner conversation made her question everything. Now, both Ms. Lepine and Mr. Lepine are here to untangle the truth, and with stakes so high, the outcome could change their lives forever.
Ms. Lepine, you say for the past 30 years, you'd always believed the defendant, Mr. Lepine, was your dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then just months ago at a family dinner, you were told by a family member that he's not your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lepine is stunned. For 3 decades, she thought Mr. Lepine was her father, but after overhearing a conversation at a family dinner, doubts started creeping in. The realization hit hard, and now she's here to find out the truth. Meanwhile, Mr. Lepine is in a deep financial hole, having served time for unpaid child support. The pressure's on. If he's confirmed to be her father, it could send him straight back to jail.
In it.
So hold on. You a name?
Gave me a name.
Of the man that was your father?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
For 30 years, all this time, you believe this young girl was your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. And I've been 4 to 5 years in jail, and it gets rough.
4 to 5 years in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Concerning the child support for this young woman that you're still behind on.
The judge presses Ms. Lepine to relive that moment of doubt, and she explains how family members casually mentioned that she didn't look like her dad. Confused and shocked, she reached out to Mr. Lepine, who admitted that another man was around during the time of her conception, which added fuel to the fire of doubt.
So after you learned her mother was pregnant, you went on and married and signed the birth certificate, and you stepped up to be the father.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you remember her mother being intimate with anybody else during that time?
I didn't know then. I was after me and her separated, and other people.
Wow. So as you look at Ms. Lepine, do you?
A clearly shaken Mr. Lepine reflects on how much this news has rocked him. He's been to jail multiple times over child support and could face more time if today's outcome isn't in his favor. He opens up about his feelings of betrayal, admitting that over the years he started to wonder if Ms. Lepine really looked like him or if the doubt had been there all along.
It may not be, but me, my dad, and my sister.
And you feel like you strongly resemble your father,
right?
But Brandy does not. Look at this picture, Brandy.
I always thought, I look like my mom, but I always thought I had my dad's attitude.
Okay, that's fair.
I always thought that, but I mean, as you can tell, no, we don't look nothing alike, but...
The plot thickens when the judge brings in Ms. Lepine's sister, Jennifer, to testify. She shares how family members have made jokes about paternity in the past, throwing their entire reality into question. Jennifer holds up a family photo, pointing out how much she looks like their dad, while Ms. Lepine doesn't share that same resemblance. The emotional toll on everyone is undeniable.
You and her mother broke up.
I come home, she come into where I was sitting and told me, I want you to move out.
And how old was Miss Lepine then? How old was your daughter?
I just packed my stuff and left. Now I wish I'd never left.
So, Mr. Lepine, you have regrets?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you feel like you let your daughters down?
I did let them down, and I'm sorry. I wish I'd never left. I wasn't worried about what their mom had to say.
As the case continues, Ms. Lepine reflects on how she always thought she took after her father's personality, even though her looks seemed to align more with her mother's side. Mr. Lepine submits evidence of his long history of paying child support, including records dating back to 1998, and shares the struggles he's faced while constantly being jailed for unpaid support.
Mr. Richard Lepine, you are her father. The next result pertains to Brandy. In the case of Lapine versus Lapine, Ms. Lapine, Mr. Richard Lapine is not your biological father.
The judge stresses just how high the stakes are. One more court date for Mr. Lapine could lead to more jail time. With so much at risk, the emotional and financial fallout is huge for everyone involved. This case isn't just about paternity, it's about the truth, the past, and what the future will hold for both parties.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Broussard versus Broussard.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
A man pushed to the edge, tired of living a lie, desperate for peace, he stormed into court with one mission: to uncover the shocking truth about his wife's wild betrayal. With explosive evidence that could shatter everything, he demanded a DNA test to end the paternity drama. You won't believe what's coming next.
Case hoping the court will grant you a paternity test. Your 1-year marriage to the defendant is on the verge of paternity doubt, and you need this test. You say your husband's of your son and your marriage in shambles. You claim your husband has no reason to deny all of the testimony and determine if there is evidence.
This man's world was crumbling. His wife's infidelity had pushed him to the breaking point. His eyes, fixed on the court's doors, burned with one question: is he the father or a fool? He admitted he signed the birth certificate, but the proof was right there in his hand. If the DNA test reveals he's not the father, it's over. That's it. No more lies, no more excuses.
I say my marriage is on the verge of collapse due to the infidelity incidents that I discovered.
This test today, because you're on the birth certificate.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
But you need this test, the biological father of this child.
Correct.
Hold on, here comes the twist. The wife, the defendant, tried to spin her own story. She claimed that the gossip from the neighbors about her ex had twisted everything. She argued that her husband was just obsessed, making wild accusations out of nothing. But the clock was ticking. Would the truth slip through the cracks, or would it all blow up in her face?
He is so obsessed with my ex. We argue, we fight all the time. Me and him just are not getting along at all.
How long has it been this way?
The end of last year. There has been rumors going around in the neighborhood that we grew up that he is not the father of our child.
But this man, he wasn't buying it. He came prepared, armed with evidence that could turn this courtroom upside down. And as he laid it out, her lies began to unravel, one shocking piece at a time. She tried to cover her tracks, but it was clear. The walls were closing in fast.
Reason why that gave me my doubt that little Charles got off work, and basically I walked in, the cups looked freshly poured. You still could see the water dripping off to room temperature. So I asked, said, I don't know. I said, well, you had in my house. She didn't know.
That I don't know?
Yes.
So, Miss Broussard,
Now things are getting real. It wasn't just lying, it was a tangled mess of betrayal. Every word she said made her guilt more undeniable. The drama was escalating. This wasn't just about the baby. This was a war over the truth, and it was getting brutal.
The rumors. I am well known in my community, and I felt kind of disrespected when the ex-boyfriend had told me that him and your wife are still communicating. They want to have a family, a baby together. They about to push you out the picture.
What?
Yeah, it blew my mind.
They'll tell it, honey. And so you heard.
And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, boom! The man found handprints from another man all over her body. But it wasn't just any man, it was her ex, and she didn't even try to deny it. She confessed to having revenge sex with him, right under her husband's nose. How could she?
August, I was away. Once I returned in the shower, and she had
handprints, like you could see handprints.
I slept with him. He just left.
So you admitted to your husband that you had slept with your ex in your house?
Yeah.
You don't have no shame in it, huh?
Called me telling me that they were having an affair too.
What kind of nerve did this woman have? She didn't even seem sorry for her actions, defending herself as if she hadn't just burned every bridge in sight. Judge Lake had seen enough. It was time to end the madness. No more lies, no more games. DNA was the only way to untangle this mess once and for all.
In the case of Broussard versus Broussard, 4-month-old Charles Broussard, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Broussard, you are the father.
So, what happens next? Will the DNA results be the final blow in this paternity nightmare? Or will a miracle save their shattered relationship? Get ready, because this wild ride isn't over yet, and the truth is about to hit harder than ever. Ever wonder what could happen if you spot a girl in tight pants? Well, this man took it a step further and dove headfirst into a web of lies and chaos. Meet Mr. Wiggins. He walked into court today, desperate for Judge Lake to save him and his family. But how did he end up in this mess? Let's find out.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Wiggins versus Dave.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
A little time apart gave Mr. Wiggins the green light to get cozy with someone else, Ms. Davis. But here's the twist. He wanted out of a paternity scandal and to save his marriage, all while playing the field. He's claiming he's not the father to a baby girl. But could it be true? And you won't believe it?
Mr. Wiggins, you are here in court to you are not the father of Miss Davis' child, Aubrey Wiggins, and say today's results will change.
He admitted to manipulating Ms. Davis during their 2-year relationship, lying to her to get what he wanted, but now his family was unraveling, all because he couldn't keep his deceit in check. What kind of man does that to his own family?
Being alleged the father of Aubrey, I lost my wife and I want to regain my family.
You lost your family? You were married at the time? Explain.
Yes, Your Honor, I was married and me and my wife went through a separation due to a rough patch.
But here's where it really gets juicy. Ms. Davis claimed she was in it for the long haul and wanted Mr. Wiggins to leave his wife for her. She wasn't just some fling, she was all in and ready to fight for him. But wait, why was he blaming her for everything when he was the one playing the game?
We was never together.
Almost 2.5 years?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I was married, Your Honor. I mean,
yeah, married, but
it just, it kind of went longer than it should have.
But your hope is that if you can prove that Aubrey is not your biological.
Then Judge Lake went in hard. Turns out Ms. Davis wasn't the only one making moves. She reached out to his wife on Facebook and stirred up the pot. What? Mr. Wiggins couldn't control his desires, but now he's pointing the finger at her for wrecking his life? This guy's a mess.
I knew I was in a relationship.
You did?
2.5 years we was together.
I was telling her what I felt I needed to tell her to ultimately get what I wanted.
Obviously,
you might have gotten more than you bargained for, right?
He did, a child.
Just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, Mr. Wiggins dropped another bombshell. He claimed his wife had been seeing another man when she conceived the baby. And get this, he showed text messages as proof. So now he's throwing doubt on the paternity based on some random texts?
And then I asked her to let me tell my wife. And of course, because she wanted my wife out of the picture, because she did want more.
You're right. I wanted more because that's what you presented.
And I was good to her. I mean, because ultimately I was trying to get something out of her.
Hold up, it gets even more ridiculous. Mr. Wiggins brought an exhibit into court alleging that Ms. Davis forged his name on the birth certificate, and the way he said she did it, you have to hear it to believe it. But baby mama wasn't having any of it. She shot down his accusations with confidence.
Ms. Davis told her that she was pregnant and that she wasn't going anywhere. She inboxed her on Facebook, which caused a lot of havoc in my life.
You wasn't gonna be a man.
Did it cause the havoc or did you cause the havoc?
He did.
By now, it was clear. Mr. Wiggins wasn't just a man caught in a lie, he was a compulsive liar, doing whatever he could to cover up his tracks. But it didn't end there. He was still sleeping with Miss Davis. And when Judge Lake heard about it, she did not hold back, calling out his hypocrisy in front of everyone.
We got into a bit of an altercation. I don't remember the exact details. And my family member seen her be picked up by another guy.
That was my cousin.
That she claims to be her cousin. However, it's a coincidence that while we were at the hotel,
and just when you think he's done, Mr. Wiggins tries to play the victim, claiming he only wanted to get back with his family, but his lies and affairs were only making it worse. The back and forth was a tangled mess, and Judge Lake saw right through it. So what's the only way to end this drama once and for all? You guessed it, the DNA test.
This guy saying he
we're
wanted
not
to have
together,
love, so
but
now
you
I waste
wanted to
all
have
this
a good
money,
night.
and then you're telling me, okay, that, I have a baby by you when you're sleeping with another guy. That's what made me
I never
mad.
slept with no one.
So, and that is part of what your doubt is as well.
The stakes were sky high. Mr. Wiggins wanted to salvage his family, but his unpredictable behavior and shady past weren't helping. It was time for Judge Lake to take control, and the DNA results would either make or break their future. Would the truth finally come out, or would it be a total disaster?
Educated enough to know my own birthday. This is the birth certificate. Apparently she knew my name. This is the birth date that's listed on Aubrey's birth certificate. My birthday is November the 9th, 1990.
The one
this
you wrote.
Says...
As the tension built, everyone waited for the final moment, the DNA results. Would Mr. Wiggins finally be exposed for the liar he was? Or would he find a way to wiggle out of this mess and reclaim his family? All roads led to that moment of truth.
The issue is just a typo
that he wrote.
Do you think he wrote his wrong birthday on purpose?
Right, and because
No,
when I seen it, when we got the birth certificate, I let him know that he
At last, the moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results are in. Will Mr. Wiggins finally face the consequences of his actions, or will he find a way to sweep it all under the rug and go on with his life? Judge Lake had heard enough of the excuses, and it was time for the truth to surface.
No, we're not, Your Honor.
At the same time, two different answers.
Right.
Exact same time.
When was the last time you two were intimate?
It's been a while.
Last night.
No, Your Honor, we was at separate hotels.
With the final DNA results revealed, the truth was about to unfold in the most shocking way possible. Would this case end in relief, or would it unravel even further? One thing's for sure, Mr. Wiggins won't be able to hide from the truth any longer.
Mr. Wiggins, you are the father.
And there you have it, suspense, lies, and betrayal at every corner. Could Mr. Wiggins redeem himself, or was he already too deep in his deception to get back to his family? Let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more crazy courtroom drama. Until next time. Alright folks, we've got a second timer in the building. Mr. Scott was already putting one woman on blast, and now he's back with a whole new drama queen. Meet Ms. Kalan. She's laid back, but trust. She's got a wild story about disappearing acts and online love gone wrong. Get ready for a paternity twist that's about to flip the script like it's the season finale of a crazy reality show.
Mr. Scott, welcome back.
How you doing?
Now, you previously appeared in this court, and it was determined that you now have 7 children by 4 women.
Yes, Your Honor.
This isn't your typical online romance, people. It's like a disaster date from hell. They slid into each other's DMs, chatted for a few weeks, and things got way too comfortable. But hold up, this ain't the cute rom-com you're thinking of. It's full of phone spying, trust issues, and drama that could make a soap opera blush.
Met online. We chatted for about 3 weeks. I'll say 3 weeks to a month, something like that, you know. So she came to visit me, came to my city, she came to visit me. You know, we hung out, we spent time, had a nice time that night. No big deal, you know. It was nice, it was nice.
Ms. Kalan isn't holding anything back now. She's spilling all the secrets, including how Mr. Scott ghosted her, and she's got a hunch it's because of another woman. The drama kicks off as they go back and forth, accusing each other left and right, and the courtroom turns into a battlefield of hurt feelings and online detective work. Was it real love, or just another online scam?
So I went through her phone, and prior to us being together, conversating and conversing, I see that she had other text messages from other men.
But you weren't in a committed relationship, right?
Yeah. No, not at that time. No,
Oh snap, things just took a wild turn. Baby daddy's ready to drop the truth bombs, but mommy's not having it. She's calling him out as a big fat liar, and the courtroom is on fire with jaw-dropping secrets, shady motel rendezvous, and intimate details that lead straight to a shocking pregnancy.
He is a lie. I think he believes his own lie, for real. I mean, this is like crazy. I don't know where
how did it go down for you?
Okay, so I met him on the internet site, a dating site.
These two are so off track, they can't even pick up the phone when the other calls. It's like they're stuck in a never-ending drama loop of missed calls and unspoken words. It's a tangled mess of lies, deception, and the million-dollar question, who's playing who in this twisted game?
That person as well as
this person and that person.
Yes.
Girls, only 2 girls. Don't be adding other people.
That's crazy.
Don't add other people.
I mean, you got,
and you're telling me that you're the person with the trust issues.
And here's Mr. Scott playing the "I'm so much smarter than you" card, all thanks to some sketchy pics he found on mommy's phone. Those photos hit him like a ton of bricks, and now he's questioning every single thing about this relationship. Trust? Yeah, that's out the window now.
Pictures of other men's male parts, okay? Pictures of other male parts, and it was another. She was like, "Well, I'm finna go to Lancaster to visit a friend, a family member."
And she did it like that?
No, the guy responds like, the guy says, "Well,
I play with my phone, Your Honor. There was nothing like that in my phone."
But wait, mommy's got her own bombshell. She's straight up saying she never even loved him. But here's the thing, they did share a few things that connected them, so it wasn't all bad. Still, their relationship was a total roller coaster, filled with commitment issues and no trust to be found anywhere.
On the internet site that I met him on, he wanted basically the same things I was looking for, you know? He was family, he said he was family oriented.
Of course I am, I take care of all my kids, but
when Mr. Scott heard about the pregnancy, he was all smiles, dreaming of a happy family. But once that baby hit the scene, yeah, everything fell apart. What was supposed to be a fairy tale quickly turned into a dumpster fire.
Said, quote unquote, "Oh, Mommy, we're gonna be a family." See, yeah, that was the nickname.
And did you want to be a family with him?
I mean, it was what it was. I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted. He wanted me to move.
Wait, you said it was what it was.
And now, Ms. Kalin is hitting back with a countersuit for child support and loan repayments. Mr. Scott doesn't even think he's in debt, but trust, that's not what the court's saying. The courtroom's buzzing with tension, and these two are only good at one thing, bickering.
Altogether, maybe $400 or $500.
Okay. The money she sent you, was it a loan?
No,
Yes, it was.
no. It wasn't no loan. Why did I get a loan from her? I mean, I worked.
You
at the
act
time.
like I'm speaking blasphemy. I just asked.
The judge knows it's about to get messy and wraps things up fast. With all the back and forth going on, it's time for the big reveal. Let's see who's got the facts and who's just playing games.
Mr. Scott, you are not the father.
Imagine bringing 3 of your exes to court. Wild, right? Well, that's exactly what went down in Holman versus Drumgold. Ms. Holman had 3 dudes in the hot seat, all of them trying to figure out who might be the father of her baby. And to make it even crazier, she wasn't dating any of them, and none of these guys were feeling each other at all. Court was about to get super messy.
Mr. Rich,
Go back up.
you came here to get an answer.
I have not called him lately.
I don't care, man.
My
phone says it all.
Calm down.
Your Honor,
Calm
that was
down.
a nice speech. That was a nice speech, but that's all it was, a speech.
Sloppy,
If Leanne could have had it her way and now one of us know, we wouldn't be here today.
This court session, straight up chaos. The battle for paternity was on, and Ms. Holman was having a hard time keeping it together. She was visibly losing it, and honestly, who could blame her? Mr. Rich took the stand and, while clearly hoping to be the father, didn't hide his frustration. He was seriously heated, and it was clear he wasn't afraid to show it.
That's okay.
Truth coming out.
Listen.
I'm not a bad person. I do bad things.
Look at
There's
me.
a difference.
Look at me. You've admitted to where you've gone wrong, and you've also allowed us to see a little piece of what your real heart is. You think we don't know you are confused and just out there?
Now it gets real messy. Ms. Holman couldn't even remember when she hooked up with Mr. Rich, so Mr. Drumgold decided to drop another bombshell. Another guy, Mr. Matthews, was also in the mix. Ms. Holman tries to clear things up, saying Drumgold knew about her thing with Rich, but had no clue about Matthews. Looks like Ms. Holman was keeping her options wide open. But Mr. Drumgold, not feeling the competition.
And in that testimony, she said you are a great man, and she's never known a man as good as you. So much so that she didn't think she was good enough for you. That's the part. Just stick with us, okay? We're gonna get through this.
Here comes Mr. Matthews, and things go left real quick. Mr. Rich loses his cool and starts throwing out some seriously spicy words as soon as Matthews walks in. The whole courtroom erupts with drama, and Mr. Rich can't hold back. He ends up getting kicked out, and it's all too real for everyone involved. Mr. Rich storms off, and things just get even more intense.
Hear from him. Jerome, will you please escort Mr. Matthews into the courtroom?
You're a
Calm down. Mr. Rich, calm down. Calm down. Just take a
It
deep
is what
breath.
it is,
Listen,
though.
you want the truth? That's what I'm trying to get you, but you gotta let me get it. You want to know? I'm giving you the truth.
Mr. Matthews isn't totally ruling out being the baby's father, but Mr. Drumgold is not here for it. He's not trying to get caught in a love triangle, and his pride's taking a hit. He's starting to question his place in Ms. Holman's life, and Ms. Holman tries to set the record straight. But it's clear that Drumgold's struggling with his position in the drama.
I'd like to ask you a few questions concerning the nature of your relationship with Ms. Holman. Can you tell the court, how did you meet? How long have you been in a relationship?
Well, I met Mrs. Holman probably about 4 years ago. I met her through Facebook, and we hung out, and we clicked. And then thereafter, we had sexual relationships.
Ms. Holman hits her breaking point and lets loose on Mr. Drumgold. She's had enough of his judgmental tone, and the shouting match is on. She's not here for anyone's disrespect, and if there's one thing louder than her confidence, it's her voice. The courtroom buzzing with her fire, and no one can ignore it.
Now, granted, have I been with all 3 of these men? Yes. How do you know there's only these 3 men? Because I gave them these 3 men name. This is my truth. Here it is. It's ugly. Now I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly.
Your Honor.
Exactly.
The drama's hitting its peak, and Judge Lauren steps in to check Mr. Drumgold, telling him to get over his delusional ideas about being the only possible dad. Ms. Holman finally drops the bomb on her conception timeline, saying she's convinced Mr. Drumgold's her baby's father out of the 3 guys in the courtroom. This revelation gets everyone even more hyped, and the courtroom is full of chaos as they argue and yell.
My thing is,
Go ahead. Can we go with the result?
there's no
Can we go
possibility
with
that it couldn't be mine. That's my
Mr.
thing.
Drumgold, Mr. Drumgold, I think you have now entered that space where you're so angry because you feel like because she's saying she really believes it's your baby.
Is Judge Lauren the coolest or what? Amid all the yelling, she's keeping it calm and comforting Ms. Holman. The constant drama has her in tears, and it's clear the situation is taking its toll. The judge wraps things up and gets ready for the big reveal. Only one man can claim the title of father of the day. After all that drama, the court suggests they all seek counseling, because this one's way too messy.
Mr. Rich is not the father. The next result is for Mr. Matthews. Mr. Matthews, you are not the father. These results are for Mr. Drumgold. Mr. Drumgold, you are the father.
Exactly.
Ever find yourself caught up in a love triangle? Well, Ms. Harris didn't just get caught up in one. She was in the middle of a full-blown showdown between her boyfriend, Mr. Murray, and her ex, Mr. Donaldson. This courtroom was about to witness some serious drama, and the judge was definitely in for a wild ride. Buckle up.
Ms. Harris, you have been caught in a love triangle. There are 2 men in court today claiming to have fathered your 18-month-old daughter, Anaya. Your current boyfriend, the plaintiff, Mr. Murray, and the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donaldson.
You know, love triangles in court never go quietly. They're always high stakes and full of tension, and this one was no exception. Mr. Donaldson, while Ms. Harris was very pregnant, dropped the bombshell that he had his eyes on another woman, and he made it clear he wasn't going to be there for her when it mattered the most. That's gotta sting, right?
They are both in court today to prove paternity. So, Ms. Harris, please come join me here so we can start this case and get some paternity answers. So, Ms. Harris, now you're currently in a relationship with Mr. Murray.
Yes.
But both Mr. Murray and Mr. Donaldson think they are your 18-month-old daughter Anaya's biological father.
Things got even spicier when Mr. Murray's mom stepped up to the stand. She revealed some shocking details that no one was expecting. Apparently, they had all assumed Mr. Donaldson was the father until, plot twist, another man appeared and everything got super awkward. Talk about a game changer.
Let's talk about these relationships. Tell me about your relationship with Mr. Donald.
From my understanding, we was dating. But then when I got pregnant, he told me he had feelings for another girl, and he told me that he didn't want to be with me. So I was basically alone during my pregnancy.
But wait, the plot thickens. An unexpected visit from one of Mr. Murray's family members revealed yet another man in Ms. Harris's life. To make things even more insane, Mr. Murray got a mysterious message from someone who could very well be Mr. Donaldson, claiming the baby could be his. Cue the chaos.
When I had her.
So wait, you're dating Mr. Donaldson, you're in a relationship. You all are boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we were.
And so you're boyfriend and girlfriend, and you find out you're pregnant while you're in the relationship with him?
Yes.
And you tell him you're pregnant, and he accepts that you're pregnant and it's my baby.
Well, he didn't believe I was pregnant.
But hold up, the drama doesn't stop there. As the courtroom tried to catch its breath, Mr. Murray was fuming and making it clear he wasn't ready to back down. But guess what? Mr. Donaldson wasn't backing down either, and the 2 men started clashing more than ever. The courtroom was on edge, everyone waiting for the truth to finally surface.
By that time, it was too late. She was like big. I hadn't seen her in so long. It wasn't even no point in getting a pregnancy test.
Oh, because you could tell then she is pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay, and did you accept at that time that you were the father of the baby?
Yes, I did.
You did. You acknowledged it and you accepted it.
Yes, I did.
Now, in the middle of all this, Ms. Harris was emotionally wrecked, unable to deal with all the back and forth between the men in her life. It was clear this wasn't just about paternity, it was about trust, betrayal, and the messy reality of navigating relationships. The tension was practically palpable.
So, I want to ask your mom, did you know about this pregnancy, ma'am?
I did not find out about it until she was about 5 months, maybe.
You never knew your son was possibly the father of this child?
When he told me about it, I accepted that he was, because that's what Chastity stated, that he was the dad.
To make things even crazier, Mr. Murray's mom spoke up again. She had been staying calm up until now, but now she was ready to spill the tea and reveal even more surprising facts. Everyone in the courtroom could feel the shift in the air. More details kept pouring in, and things just got more tangled. What started as a simple paternity case had spiraled into something much bigger.
I didn't even tell her, honestly. I told my father, and my father told her.
That works too when you're scared to tell mom. So you tell your dad tells your mom, and mom, at what point do you actually meet Miss Harris? Because you don't even know her at this point.
I had met her one time.
Then, just when things seemed to reach their boiling point, Mr. Donaldson tried to wiggle his way out of answering some key questions, pretending he couldn't remember crucial details. But everyone knew he was just trying to buy time. And time, well, it wasn't on his side anymore.
Did you have any doubt or any reason to believe that someone else could be the child's biological father at that time?
No.
So after the baby's born, Mr. Donaldson, do you develop a relationship with Anaya?
Yes, we did, but she stayed so far away from me to like I couldn't see her as much as I wanted to.
As more secrets came out and emotions ran higher, the judge had no choice but to step in and restore some order, but even the judge was getting a little frustrated at how long this was dragging on. Everyone was ready for the truth, but it seemed like no one could keep their story straight.
And your family has accepted the baby?
Yes, we accept her. But when all of this started, we kind of just backed away from the whole situation because it was getting a little messy.
So at what point do you start having doubts that Anaya is your grandchild?
The thing that really changed my mind is when my mother went to pick the baby up and saw Fred.
Finally, the moment came. Ms. Harris, now visibly distraught, was pushed to the edge. As the courtroom awaited the truth, she couldn't hold it together any longer. She ran out, barely able to keep her composure, screaming at the cameras to stop rolling. Everyone was left speechless. The tension was unbearable, and the drama was far from over.
Why do you believe you could be the biological father of this child?
One day I was on Facebook and I got a message from Jalen, and he told me that the baby could possibly be mine.
So you get a message from Mr. Donaldson?
Yeah.
Telling you that the baby could possibly be yours?
Yeah, I need to get a DNA test.
Ms. Harris, still nowhere to be seen, had essentially left the courtroom in a cloud of confusion. With no clear answers in sight, the judge made one last attempt to bring some clarity. She asked everyone to take a breath and reconsider the facts. Would anyone back down? Would the truth finally come out?
Having a relationship with Mr. Donaldson.
Because during that time, he used protection. And from the time that he's talking about he could be her father is from a time in December.
Oh, you're saying the time that you had sex without protection was in December?
Yes.
But then, another bombshell dropped. An unexpected piece of evidence came to light, and it shifted the entire narrative of the case. Just when the courtroom thought they were getting closer to the truth, a new angle emerged, leaving everyone in a state of disbelief. How much more could these people handle?
Anaya was born on October 21st.
Yes.
Do you remember when you were intimate with Mr. Donaldson?
The beginning of January, the beginning of February, and the end of February, and then we stopped.
So the beginning of January, around here, the beginning of February with Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
With the case now becoming a full-on mess of emotions and half-truths, the judge decided it was time for a break, but the drama didn't stop there. Mr. Murray and Mr. Donaldson's rivalry was only escalating, and the courtroom was on high alert, ready for the next shock to drop.
When were you intimate with Mr. Murray?
It was like in the middle of February, but he used protection.
So you were intimate with Mr. Murray around this time, but you say you used protection. But Mr. Murray, you say you did not use protection.
We had a situation December 14th.
As the courtroom continued to buzz with frustration, the judge had to remind everyone that this wasn't just a battle of feelings. It was about responsibility and accountability. Finally, with everyone feeling like they'd been through a war, the truth was called for. Who was the father? The clock was ticking and the pressure was mounting. Everyone was on edge, waiting for that final answer.
Wait, that's December. And you didn't use protection during that? I don't know what y'all out here doing. We know young people and we know you're gonna be young, but this is a lot. This is too much. The threesome's bad enough. Unprotected is just outrageous, insane, unacceptable.
With the case nearing its end, Ms. Harris came back into the courtroom, tears still fresh on her face. She looked like she had just been through the emotional ringer. The tension in the room was thick, and all eyes were on the judge, waiting for her to make the call. The truth was coming, and it was going to hit hard.
Threesomes, unprotected, and also potentially getting Miss Harris pregnant. Did you have any idea what was going on?
I found out after the threesome happened.
After the threesome?
Yes. And then like around, I want to say March or April, we found out that Chastity was pregnant.
The judge, feeling the weight of the situation, made her final decision, and the entire room fell silent. Everyone had been on edge, but now the time had come to wrap things up. Was it Mr. Murray? Was it Mr. Donaldson? Who would be the father? Everyone was holding their breath.
So you told Ms. Weaver that the baby was not Mr. Murray's. You told her that?
Yeah. That was because of the date of conception that the doctor told her.
So you were basing that off what the doctor told you?
Yes.
But now you all know that even with protection, we know that it's not 100% certain.
After what felt like an eternity, the moment arrived. The judge's ruling was final, and the courtroom reacted with a mixture of relief and disbelief. The case that started with a simple paternity test had turned into something much more complex, but now it was over. For Ms. Harris, the battle might have been won, but the war was just beginning.
So now Anaya's 18 months old. Who's in her life as father? Who does she bond with as father?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Murray.
She looks to him like he's her father because he'd been there. He'd been there ever since she was 3 months.
And so what was it that made you decide to be a part of the baby's life, Mr. Murray?
The judge gave some final words, offering advice, and sending everyone off with a reminder that this was about more than just DNA. It was about being responsible and taking ownership of your actions. It might have been a long and messy road, but at least now the truth had been revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Gerald Donaldson, you are not the father. Mr. Murray, you are not the father.
Y'all, this case had everyone in the courtroom on the edge of their seats. Ms. Andrea Wallace walked in, dragging her ex-husband, Mr. Ryan Wallace, and his new wife into the mix, all to prove he's the father of their 2-year-old daughter, Arelon. Ms. Wallace is over it. She says Mr. Wallace has been too busy with his new family to even check in on his daughter, and today, she's ready to put an end to his lack of effort.
Ms. Wallace, you summoned your ex-husband and his new wife to court to prove he fathered your 2-year-old daughter, Arelon. You say he is too busy playing daddy to his new family and has neglected your daughter for far too long, and that ends today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Wallace, he's out here claiming that Ms. Wallace isn't exactly blameless either. He's basically calling her out for losing track of her own actions during their marriage. He says he's cool with taking care of his kids, but he's got serious doubts about whether Arelon's even his. Ms. Wallace is furious, feeling like his new wife has him second-guessing their past, and worse, their own kid's truth.
Mr. Wallace, did you abandon your family?
No, Your Honor.
Tell the truth.
We separated after so many years. We separated. She was doing her thing and I was doing my thing, and it was just a spur of a moment.
So why, if that's the case, why treat our daughters different?
As the judge tries to break it all down, Ms. Wallace starts reminiscing about when she told Mr. Wallace she was pregnant. She says if he had really shown up as a husband, they wouldn't be in this mess. Mr. Wallace isn't having it, though he says their separation led them both to move on and do their own thing. The judge presses them for the details about their relationship and how Arelon was conceived.
Actually, you got back from the sun, the moon, and the stars. You went, came back. How long after that did you find out you were pregnant?
I felt it immediately, but 3 weeks later.
Up there at the sun?
I felt it as soon as I got back down. I woke up and came back to reality.
When Ms. Wallace talks about that night, she insists there was a deep, intimate connection that made her sure Mr. Wallace was the father. She says they reconnected after some time apart and that the chemistry was undeniable, but Mr. Wallace is struggling to remember the night in question, leaving room for doubt to creep in.
All I said was, people say that because we so dark, she shouldn't have been light at all.
You know, it doesn't have anything to do with like light and dark and brown. I mean, we sit up in here and hear too much testimony about what color a baby's skin was. It's about the DNA. That's what it's about.
The judge asked Ms. Wallace when she realized she was pregnant. She confidently says she just knew right after their encounter. But when the judge turns to Mr. Wallace to hear how he reacted when he first heard about the pregnancy, he reveals he was cool with it at first. However, when Miss Wallace later mentioned the possibility of another man being involved after he signed the birth certificate, things got complicated.
Definitely reason that someone may have some doubt.
I mean, he could have had some doubt if that's how he felt, but he should have voiced that opinion, though. He should have said, hey, Ray, you know, I ain't been home in months. You know, I got this girlfriend out here, and I ain't been home in months. Are you sleeping with anybody? Or he already knew what I was doing, though.
Tensions flare as the judge digs deeper, questioning whether Ms. Wallace was unfaithful during that time. She holds firm, saying she didn't have unprotected sex with anyone else, still fully convinced that Mr. Wallace is Arelon's dad. But Mr. Wallace, not buying it, recalls hearing later that he might not be the one, and now we're back to square one with more questions than answers.
We talking about real eyebrows.
Okay, let me look through my court papers. Oh, and you even submitted a chart to the court. I see it now. How in the world did I skip over the eyebrow chart? Let's get to it. So, Mr. Wallace, you submitted this chart to the court because you say all of your children have a distinct feature.
Yes.
Now the real drama begins. Ms. Wallace points out that Araylon has light skin, which has led to more confusion over paternity. The judge steps in to drop some truth. Skin color does not dictate paternity. It's all about the DNA, people. This part of the case brings out a whole new layer of emotional stress as both parents struggle with what's at stake here.
Said, no, that ain't my baby. I asked him, what we gonna do? Well, let me know when you go to the doctors. Let me know this, let me know that. Like I said, he was there. He took off work. He was there.
All right. So what I do understand is you are very clear on that. Mr. Wallace didn't doubt you.
The judge focuses on the timeline of conception. Ms. Wallace sticks to her story, saying their encounter lines up perfectly with the time she thinks she conceived. To back it up, the judge pulls out a conception calculator to show that the dates match what Ms. Wallace has been saying all along. It's looking like she's been telling the truth, or has she?
So you are really doubtful about this baby. And you're reinforcing this doubt in your husband. And you're also telling her she doesn't have to call and ask for different things. But if she doesn't have them and the baby needs them,
automatic sense it.
How?
Automatic sense it.
Just when you think the plot can't thicken, Ms. Wallace admits she did sleep with someone else shortly before being with Mr. Wallace. The judge, of course, points out how that little tidbit just threw a wrench into their whole case. Both parents are now left with the emotional weight of not knowing and trying to figure out how to handle all these revelations.
My baby 2 years old, he didn't even call my baby on her birthday. Yeah, I don't celebrate, but so what? Call her.
I respected you because I knew it.
It ain't no respect to it.
Did I call her?
This? If it's about the baby, why they worried about me?
We video call her.
At the end of the day, I only call him when I want something.
As the episode winds down, both Ms. Wallace and Mr. Wallace agree to take a DNA test to finally settle the matter once and for all. Ms. Wallace is holding on to hope that the test will confirm Mr. Wallace is Araylon's father, while Mr. Wallace is left wrestling with the possibility that things might not turn out the way he expects. The judge ends by reminding them that no matter what happens with the results, their priority should be staying committed to their daughter and finding a way to work together for her sake.
Mr. Wallace, you are not the father.
Paying child support doesn't necessarily translate into having custody of a child, even if the child wishes for it. Also, how come a mother won't see the child she supposedly birthed, and she would be fine with that? Paternity court really shows how heartless some parents can be. Child support can be emotionally, physically, and psychologically tasking, especially if there are doubts surrounding the child's paternity. Most men don't even want to pay child support when they are sure the child is theirs, not to mention the men that aren't sure.
Connor, you say a one-time fling with the defendant turned into more than 15 years of child support payments and even jail time you have never believed is yours. You need today's results to prove you are not her child's father.
Mr. Connor's one-time fling has put him in trouble as he owes 15 years of child support and has even been to jail. Mr. Connor firmly believes he isn't the biological father of Ms. Wallace's child. Ms. Wallace claims Mr. Connor knows he's the father of her child, and he should just pay up what he owes. There's also the child in question, Mr. Wallace, who is now a young adult claiming he trusts his mother. But lately, there have been reasons to doubt everything.
Because I need to undo a terrible injustice that's been inflicted upon me and my family. It's caused a lot of problems, poor things. I've even been to jail, November the 5th until January 2006.
That was so sad to hear. Mr. Connor lost everything and had to start over while he was already pushing 40. That must have been tough on him. Mr. Connor regrets this one mistake of laying with Ms. Wallace just one time. Mr. Connor is still owing some bucks, and to top it all off, he's been to jail. That's a dent in his reputation. He will be turned down at different job positions just because of that factor.
Just wants off child support. For one, it was more than just a one-night fling.
And I have you on Facebook.
We have fingers because I'm an adult. But
no,
Your
you're
Honor,
not. What kind of
I'm 40.
adult?
I raised my 3 kids by myself.
It seems these two grown-ups are singing a nursery rhyme with their, I don't back and forth. Ms. Wallace says Mr. Connor didn't know what she and her children had to go through while growing up. But Mr. Connor says, yeah, he shouldn't know because he's not the father, and his father should be blamed. Ms. Wallace also noted it was not just a one-time fling.
The relationship with Ms. Wallace was a one-night stand.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that
relationship? I met her through a family member. We all used to hang out a little bit. She changed her mind, and that was that. I never knew anything about Jeffrey. She had a friend who told me, did you sleep with Wanda?
Now that's a twist. Mr. Connor says he didn't even get to finish the act because Ms. Wallace changed her mind. Mr. Connor being unable to finish the act makes him strongly believe Ms. Wallace has been lying about him being the biological father of Ms. Wallace's son. Mr. Connor has a point, but who knows? Maybe he finished the act and is denying it in court.
In a whole year relationship and we had sex, how I found out that I was pregnant. I got sick. My mom taking me to my doctor's appointment, and that's when I found out I was 2 months pregnant. I called you a lie.
You never
Back then we had pagers. Shut your line butt up.
Ms. Wallace seems to remember things differently than Mr. Connor did. Ms. Wallace says it was a 1-year-long relationship with several sexual encounters with each other. Ms. Wallace also claimed Mr. Connor knew about the pregnancy and all because she told him about it, so he should shut up and stop lying.
He told me that he wanted to be in his son's life. I told him I did not want to be in a relationship with him. You know what? I'm not going to even, disrespect you because I'm a woman.
That's not disrespect.
This man, he wanted to be with me, and I did not want to be with him.
I wasn't there.
He never.
Mr. Connor called Miss Wallace a professional liar, but Miss Wallace says she won't match his energy because she's a woman. That's fair enough. Mr. Connor was named the child's father by default as he didn't show up to the court after he was served court papers which he claimed to have not received.
Any effort to stay in contact with him?
I did. I reached out to him on social media because he wrote a big, why was I never part of your family, that kind of stuff. So I called, told him, I'm not your dad. That's why you didn't spend time with the family.
Do you remember writing that?
I do. There was this particular scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air having a conversation with his home for me.
Mr. Jeffrey referencing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air makes the entire case quite emotional than it already was. Anyone who watched that particular episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air would understand better how the young man must have felt. Maybe it's time to rip the band-aid off. Will Mr. Connor be right that he isn't his father? Or Ms. Wallace will be having the last laugh?
Mr. Connor, you are not the father.
I already knew it. She committed a crime. She set me up. I knew this all the time.
I understand you are frustrated, and I understand you have been through a lot.
Some men like to act like their side pieces are the only ones to be blamed for whatever the consequence of their affair is, maybe a baby or a marriage wreck. While that's a wrong notion, maybe women can also try to avoid men that make them feel less. Let's see who's at fault in Ms. Sales and Mr. Jackson's case.
Sales, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Jackson, were in a serious relationship, and it was his idea to have a baby. But now that your 3-year-old daughter, Micaiah, is here, he denies being her father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter. Is that correct?
Ms. Sales says her memory is as sharp as a tack, and she can remember there was a relationship beyond sexual intimacy between her and Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, on the other hand, says that's false, as Ms. Sales was just his side chic. There was nothing serious going on, and he knows Ms. Sales' daughter is not his.
Because I was with D'Amico for 5 years. We were in a relationship. We had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his, since the day my daughter was born, because she was light-skinned with gray eyes.
Mr. Jackson, she said you were in a 5-year relationship. Is that true?
No, ma'am.
Side woman? So Mr. Jackson was so willing to have Ms. Sales in his corner because he enjoyed their sexual intimacy more than he did with any other person. Well, Ms. Sales took that seriously as she believed they were a thing with their undefined relationship for half a decade.
So did you make that clear, or were you making her feel like she was your real woman, but really you were?
He was just my side one. I made it clear to her before.
He came to my house every single day. He lived
I did,
at my house.
Regardless, you could still make a baby even though she might have been your side woman, father.
Yes, but I wasn't the only man that was smashing.
Mr. Jackson says he agrees to going over every to have a good time with Ms. Sales, which could have possibly resulted in pregnancy. But Mr. Jackson's doubts lies in the fact that he allegedly wasn't the only man having sexual relations with Ms. Sales. Ms. Sales denies the allegation, claiming Mr. Jackson was the only man she was messing with during that period she conceived.
So we had, lost contact. That's when he met his ex, and he never let me know about this relationship he had. I found out because a friend of mine, by the time he actually started trying to confess that he had a girlfriend, we had already been together for each other unprotected on the regular. He's a sorry liar, period.
Wow. Ms. Sales seems to have juice down there, listening to how Mr. Jackson couldn't hold back and went looking for her immediately she was back in town. Mr. Jackson was already back with his ex-girlfriend, but he couldn't pass up on Ms. Sales' body.
Hospital for something else.
Yes, ma'am.
I went to the doctor because I had a cyst ruptured piddle. So I was getting a lot of tests ran and things polyps. So the nurse explained that it was really hard for me to get pregnant and my chances was very slim. But at the time I had already gotten off of birth control, had sex at the hospital.
In the hospital?
Yeah, so after they, got me together and
Mr. Jackson still had sexual intimacy with Ms. Sales while they were at the hospital, and he says she's just a side piece? Ms. Sales has a point with her saying who follows their side piece to the hospital for their health issues? It seems like Mr. Jackson is in self-denial about his feelings for Ms. Sales at this point.
Seems like you at least a possibility.
Yana, one day I was over my family member house and a friend of us called. Possibility could be her baby daddy or anything like that. This was told to me.
That's a lie.
Yes, and a lot of people that called and told me that she was riding around with this cat.
Car riding around with this guy.
Yes, Your Honor. True story.
Oh! Mr. Jackson says his doubts came to life from him getting reports about Ms. Sales riding in the car with another dude, and he heard that may be the baby daddy, but Ms. Sales says that's a lie. Ms. Sales says the person who was doing the reporting was Mr. Jackson's ex, who wanted him at all costs and would say anything to paint her black.
What about the guy with the lock?
A random person he found on my messenger that I guess had said, "What's up, sexy? Hey, baby." One of the extra 100 guys that do that too, and he picked that one out because he was light-skinned.
So you're saying he concocted the cheating story after Micaiah was born?
Yes.
One of the extra 100 guys? Ms. Sales must be so hot on Facebook. To be fair, she doesn't look bad in that stand either. She's a pretty woman. Anyway, Mr. Jackson is not falling for Ms. Sales' pretty face anymore since the fates don't add up. And to make matters worse, one of the extra 100 guys in question is white like the baby is. That makes it easy for Mr. Jackson to point fingers.
Mr. Jackson.
I am D'Amico's oldest sister.
You are his oldest sister. All right, I'd like to know what you know about this situation.
D'Amico called me crying one night because he said Ashley admitted to him that she had slept with his. I just told him to take a DNA test, which he said he tried to take one.
Ashley had faked a fallout, started crying.
Faked a fallout? Okay. Mr. Jackson's older sister claimed her brother had confided in her with Ms. Sales' alleged claim of another potential father. The whole story about a fake fallout when a DNA test was about to be done, Ms. Sales says she's not the type to do something like that. Okay, time to get this side piece true relationship story behind us.
Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, I don't run no circus and I don't need no clown.
Understand?
We're talking about a baby.
Women always wanting a particular man to be their baby daddy, but sleeping with multiple men will forever not be funny. But hey, some women sleep with just one man and still get denied when pregnancy happens. Maybe abstaining should be the order of the day.
Ms. McDuffie, you are here today to prove that your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Edwards, is the father of your 2-year-old daughter, Samaya, child, and evading his responsibility. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have real reason to doubt you are the father of Ms. McDuffie's daughter and claim to obtain a DNA test.
Ms. McDuffie says her ex-boyfriend Mr. Edwards fathered her daughter, and she's tired of him denying that fact. Mr. Edwards says he knows for sure he didn't father Ms. McDuffie's daughter, and he can't wait for today's DNA test result to prove it.
Results are important because I know Mr. Sammy Edwards is the father. He's a pop-in and pop-out dad. One minute he's claiming her, now she's not his daughter. And at this point, I just want my daughter to be taken care of and get the same love and support. Allow him opportunity. I've never denied him from his child, and I'm still getting a...
how I feel about the situation,
Ow! First man in paternity court accepting what the woman said without being forced to. That's a one-of-a-kind thing in paternity court. Okay, Mr. Edwards agrees that he's a pop-in, pop-out dad, like Ms. McDuffie said. Mr. Edwards says his reason for being that way is because he doesn't want to get too attached and later find out he's not the father. That's a fair point, but a DNA test could have been done since birth to avoid all of these.
Mr. Edwards, can you take me to the day you met Ms. McDuffie? How did you all meet?
I saw her she was a waitress behind the bar, you know what I'm saying? I really ain't, pay too much attention to her till she really, walked across all them buns and I had to proceed, so.
He had to proceed.
Yeah.
Proceeded to the buns? That's an interesting way of getting attracted to a woman and meeting her. According to Mr. Edwards, he got curved by Ms. McDuffie, which made their relationship start a little bit later than the day they met. Ms. McDuffie also agreed to that fact, but how come what happened? And Mr. Edward is now denying their alleged baby together?
Out of the situation with him, I guess. So, and that's what it is, I called her, I came and picked up, and we got good food, some good drinky drink. I guess I proceeded to those buns.
Might have proceeded to a bun in the oven too.
Right.
Mr. Edwards seems like a man with a smart mouth. Mr. Edwards knew what he wanted and didn't hesitate to cut to the chase when the time came. Ms. McDuffie is also in the stands smiling from ear to ear like they are not in paternity court, fighting over the paternity of the child they may have brought to life together.
Decide you're gonna date? Do you ever go on a date? Be in a relationship? Does this sexual relationship...
2 weeks, like a week prior to, us having sex in the car, like the second date. It was, she called me and said she was pregnant.
A week? 2 weeks?
I think it was a week.
No, it was not.
I really didn't believe her, so I came to the house.
Mr. Edwards claimed to have gotten Ms. McDuffie pregnancy test kits to test herself at home, and that was how he knew. There's Ms. McDuffie saying that wasn't how she found out she was pregnant because a blood test was what gave her the results. Well, Mr. Edwards doesn't seem to care so much about that, seeing his uncaring tone and attitude.
I'm not gonna lie to you, a part of me was excited, even though we really didn't know each other, because, you know, I love kids, and I'm like, man, this child may not mind. Especially, I moved her in, you know what I'm saying, and what made me feel like the side that made me, and his whole family hit me up.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
What?
Mr. Edwards got harassed by Ms. McDuffie's ex-boyfriend family on social media. That's nasty. Who goes on social media to yell in another man's face about a baby's paternity? Anyway, Ms. McDuffie tries to deny that ever happened, but from the look of things, it seemed like that indeed happened.
Oh, he can't have kids because we went to the sperm doctor and they said his sperm is this and that, but she just recently said she keep in contact with this guy. He has a daughter. So I'm like,
oh.
How come a man that has been told he can't have kids end up having kids after a short period? Yeah, miracles happen, but some things are just plain lies. Maybe this is one. Ms. McDuffie says she's been open about everything to Mr. Edwards since the very beginning, so Mr. Edwards cannot start acting like he hasn't been informed earlier.
Because we weren't in a we weren't in a relationship. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. He was just like a friends with benefits. It was never a relationship in the beginning, and I openly expressed that to Sammy at the time.
Said, Miss McDuffie, that really is. That's not what you testified to, but as you getting going, you just
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
You can just look at her. You weren't.
Exactly.
Ms. McDuffie seems to be getting her own testimony wrong. Ms. McDuffie says she's an honest person, and she's always open about her dealings, to which Mr. Edwards agreed to. But this particular story she just said doesn't make sense, and she has them mismatched. Let's see if she hasn't gotten her baby daddy's identity mismatched.
Mr. Edwards, you are the father.
You knew that, though.
I honestly didn't know.
You knew that.
I honestly didn't know.
You are the father.
Definitely. I'm gonna Chuck E. Cheese that thing right after this.
Confiding in one's partner might be risky. While the partner that wants to come clean may be thinking they would work it out and get past it, the other party might be unable to ever get over it, and that may ruin the relationship for good. The relationship can sometimes survive the storm, but that doesn't happen every time. Let's see how it goes for Mr. Jungwirth and Ms. Sandknop in this case.
Mr. Jungwirth, you claim the defendant's infidelities not only caused you to cancel your wedding, you're demanding a paternity test to prove you are not the father. Ms. Sandknop, you honest with Mr. Jungwirth, turmoil in your household. Mr. Jungwirth is your child's father.
Mr. Jungwirth's claim translates into Ms. Sandknop committed a grace mistake, which made him pull out of their wedding, and now he doubts the paternity of their 2-year-old. Ms. Sandknop says she confided in her partner, but it ended up biting her back in the butt. However, Ms. Sandknop says she's sure Mr. Jungwirth is her baby daddy.
This ring, Your Honor, our loyalty, our trust, our family, the way we handle things day to day is at stake.
That's a lot, and your ability to be a family.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, if he's still having trust issues, then what are we doing here? Why are we still together?
He's unable to move forward with the wedding until he knows for sure.
Yes.
And that hurts you as well.
Yes.
Mr. Jungwirth says everything is at stake if the result comes back negative. Mr. Jungwirth is ready to walk away from everything concerning Ms. Sandknop if the baby isn't his. Ms. Sandknop, on the other hand, says she had no reason to lie to Mr. Jungwirth again since she already came clean about her mistake. But Ms. Sandknop is failing to understand the doubts had already been set in motion, and it will take a lot to get rid of them.
When I found out that she was pregnant, she, at first I thought it was a joke, but then,
I sent him a picture of the paper of the HC positive test that the doctor had given me. He didn't believe it was the truth.
So you were very happy.
Oh, yeah, extremely.
I can see the emotion right now.
What a beautiful love story. High school sweethearts, young parents with a beautiful baby. Mr. Jungwirth asked Ms. Sandknop to be his wife in the heat of the moment, but unfortunately, the wedding didn't happen. Ms. Sandknop is wiping her tears like a heart-shattering incident happened shortly after. Now we need to know where it all went wrong.
It was right before Christmas. We got in a petty argument for a couple days, and I ended up just wanting to give him his space because he didn't want to talk to me, and I really didn't. So I went to the bar, and I got drunk, and I ended up not remembering anything that happened to me that night, and my intention wasn't to cheat on him. I didn't go out to have sex with another guy.
Mrs. Sandknop claimed to have gone to just relax in a bar, but only remember taking a few sips from her drink and waking up in somebody's bed. It looks like Ms. Sandknop got drugged if her story is true, but Mr. Jungwirth isn't ready to hear that story because it seems like a convenient excuse to make.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you know
I felt
you had
guilt
had
immediately.
sex?
I have no clue. I tried, while I was gathering my things, I was looking around, in the garbage can, and trying to see if I could find a condom or a condom wrapper, but I didn't find either. Asleep in his bed, and I woke up, I gathered my things, and I left partially.
Miss Sandknop couldn't tell Mr. Jungwirth immediately after it had happened, but then again, she couldn't hold it in when a baby was already in the equation. Miss Sandknop looks like she's been honest judging from her expression, but never say never. Mr. Jungwirth can't be blamed for acting up since he doesn't know for sure if Miss Sandknop is being honest.
It's not just him that's hurting, it's me hurting too, because that 3% possibility that he's not her father, I won't be able to tell her who her father is because I don't know.
And I can see that upsets you.
It's one thing to know if the man in paternity court is not the father. You can contact the other potential father. It's another thing to not know who the other potential father is. Ms. Sandknop's situation is devastating. Mr. Jungwirth's calculation seems to tally as the window of conception matches Ms. Sandknop's unexplainable mistake.
Did you ever try to find the other guy?
I tried my brain to try and remember anything. I can't even remember the name of the bar, remember anything about that night.
And how do
And
I
you
know
have no idea.
No clue whatsoever.
And I have no clue if this is the only time that she don't remember.
Hold on now, Mr. Jungwirth, you said something important.
Wait a minute, Mr. Jungwirth did all of that and he's acting like he hasn't done anything to hurt this woman back? That's not cool. Well, back to the reason these two are in paternity court. Miss Sandknop says she genuinely can't remember anything dating back to the unfortunate day. Hopefully the baby's father is the man in the stand to avoid a child growing up without knowing her father.
I trust him 100%. I trust him.
Do you trust her, Mr. Jungwirth?
No, he does not.
Not wholeheartedly.
Well, you
no.
asked the court for a lie detector test, and that lie detector test was administered. We will have those results in just a moment. One of the reasons why you don't trust her, but why?
There's been, in the beginning, even while she was pregnant with our...
Mrs. Sandknop is so emotional, and we can all see why. Ms. Sandknop says she hasn't been messing around, and even the unsaved number was a friend of Mr. Jungwirth. And what's with the name calling? Mr. Jungwirth could have just let Ms. Sandknop go if he couldn't get past the situation on sane grounds. It's time to put Ms. Sandknop and Mr. Jungwirth out of their misery of not being sure about the paternity of their child.
You were asked if you had sexual relations with anyone other than Mr. Jungwirth since the one-night stand you admitted to. You said no. The lie detector determined that was the truth.
I told you! Not everybody is on this earth to hurt your feelings.
You do understand, however, that Peyton's paternity is still in doubt?
Yes, Your Honor, I do understand.
We looked at the calendar.
In-laws being actively involved in a marriage can either be a blessing or a curse. While some in-laws are the best thing that could happen to a wife, some in-laws can be a real pain in A's, and these two options can either make or mar a marriage.
Mr. Gray, you are suing your wife and the mother of your daughter for a paternity test. You and your parents claim Mrs. Gray lied to you about her sexual past, and since the baby is not your biological daughter, Mrs. Gray, you claim that your in-laws' influence is meant to deny his child. You also say your husband has not.
Mr. Gray wasn't aware of Ms. Gray's past life, and upon knowing how Ms. Gray's life was back on the day, Mr. Gray and his family doubts the paternity of their child. However, Ms. Gray stated that Mr. Gray is getting carried away with his family's words, and she knows for a fact that Mr. Gray fathered her baby.
Well, considering the fact that the first time that she come to our home, that particular day, she and...
How old were they when...
She was 14 and he was 15 years old.
Okay, my mouth off the ground.
Okay.
They went to his bedroom and had sex.
Yes, ma'am.
A 14 and a 15-year-old going into the bedroom to do what grown-ups do is wild enough, but Mr. Gray's mother making it seem like it was only Ms. Gray's fault makes it even worse. Maybe an advanced kind of parenting could have hindered that from happening, ma'am. Anyway, Mr. Gray's mother finding out Ms. Gray knew how to use a pregnancy test kit made her more mad. Well, maybe she was paying more attention in sex ed.
Was enrolled in school. He'd always been involved in sports, popular child. He always made very good decisions. He had a relationship before. I had furnished him a condom in case he ever wanted to have sex.
Discussion with him about responsibility?
Absolutely, positively. He had a complete goal. He was going to be a police officer, and everything changed.
Mr. Gray's mother already furnished him with condoms in case of situations like that of his and Ms. Gray's, but all of a sudden, Mr. Gray's mother is not blaming her son for not using the condom he had gotten her. She's blaming Ms. Gray instead for loving a fast life. Mr. Gray's mother is talking about the bright future as a police officer, like he couldn't still go on to be one if he wanted.
Mr. Younger, Caitlin and I, we met through Facebook. Went out on our first date to a basketball game. About a week later, we had our second date, and she came to my mother's house. She stayed for a couple days.
Oh, the second date lasts a couple days?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, 15 and 14 years old? 2-day dates? Never heard of such.
A date is supposed to last a couple hours, but Mr. Gray and Ms. Gray's date is different, seeing how it lasts for 2 days. Mr. Gray's mother says they were supposed to be by the Christmas tree, so maybe they got away while she wasn't looking.
You found out out that she was pregnant, did you feel like this could possibly be my child?
No, I didn't, because when she was 14 years old and I was 15, we decided to have sex. And I figured at my house at such a young age, why wouldn't she have sex with somebody else? I knew for a fact that I had details on reasons why the baby couldn't be mine.
Mr. Gray's mother is doing a lot more than the two people directly involved in the case. But what's with the baby coming out black and Ms. Gray's family still saying Mr. Gray has to accept that's his baby? A black baby from two white parents just doesn't seem plausible, even in biology.
Did you say on that date, that second long date?
But he also agreed to, because obviously I turned up pregnant.
So you all are 14 and 15 years old, two babies, making a decision that y'all gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
Why? Because you all feel like you hit it off so much?
A 14 and 15-year-old making plans about having a baby? That's insane. It's either their parents brought them up to think like this, or their infatuation got the best of them and made them think that was the way to go. These kids don't even know how to fill up important personal forms in a hospital just yet, not to talk of cuddling up and talking about making babies. Oh well, the baby has been made.
And she admitted to it. She actually admitted to him sleeping with 6 other people than me.
6 different guys at 14 years old? Hollywood has got to slow down with the rated movies. The little lady hasn't even done her sweet 16th birthday and her reproductive part has been working overtime. Whew, they may not have allowed Mr. Gray's mother to conduct a DNA test then, but here we are now.
Why Mr. Gray may have doubt about your child, considering you admitted to sleeping with 6 other young men.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to hear from your witness, Ms. Gray. You have your grandmother,
Yes,
Ms.
I do, Your
Woolhart, here.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
Ms. Gray's grandmother said she's been the one caring for the child for years, but Mr. Gray's mother interrupted her, saying she had tried her best to be there for the baby, and for the fact that they doubt the paternity of the baby so much, maybe she has tried enough. Okay, that's valid. Let's find out if Mr. Gray's family will have to resume taking care of the child, or it will be left to Ms. Gray's family for good.
Mr. Gray, you are her father.
I love you guys so much.
Now that's what I want to see. That is a wonderful example